Hey, Abundant Transformation Tribe. What up, though? How you doing? It's so beautiful out here right now. I'm much better than the post I posted earlier. This is the beginning of me sharing a journey, and I really haven't expressed to you why I feel that I'm a good person to do that, or why I'm even in here. Why do I feel compelled? I want to share a little bit more intimately about my life, and not about traumas, because I'd really been so hyper focused over um, getting past what stress does to the body, and how I know doing that has helped me and like opened up this whole new world. But I see the work I have to do, and that's what I want to talk to you about. Why do I still have work if I've gotten past this? What I'm dealing with is not just something you get past. I've, in the last month, been able to identify something so clearly about myself that I have had questions about and thoughts about for years. Feeling like I was like locked inside of myself, feeling like the rest of my life was going to be hindered by the struggles that I sometimes have. Not clear on why I had mood swings, having people think it was depression, and I'm telling you, I wake up not feeling depressed at all. I don't wake up feeling anxiety on a regular basis. But I did identify what was triggering anxiety from time to time, and what was triggering me being disinterested. And it probably has been something I've been dealing with since childhood. Only if you were to look at my resume and look at my grades, something has changed. And as I did a lot of research over the years to try and understand how to bring the body and the mind into balance, just things that I've learned over the years, going to see a chiropractor after I had some, problems with my neck and in between my shoulder blades after a car accident. Started around maybe 2001, where some things started to happen and I was dealing with chronic pain, and it was almost like I became a shadow of myself. I was dealing with things that just wasn't me, and I was in the beginning of a loving relationship, and I really wasn't always feeling like the person I needed and wanted to be. And on top of that, I was dealing with family issues that were so difficult for me to deal with, like tore me down, and expecting people that I thought were in my corner, all of that stuff that happens in life. I started to become numb to it and just buried a lot of pain, and that kind of stress. The body continues to develop toxins in the body, and can really screw up your gut health. And too many traumas can actually cause a form of brain damage. And that's something I'd heard before. PTSD is that, but there's a spectrum. Isn't there a spectrum for everything? Okay. I think there's also a spectrum for being an asshole. Okay, and people are in one part of that spectrum or another sometimes. Pardon my language. I'm not trying to be negative, but that's the best word I could pick from, and I don't know another word that you could substitute without trying to overthink it. So there. But people have a way to become, oh, I just thought of a way. Oh my gosh. But that's still psychoanalyzing people. I'm not trying to do that. Anyway, people will try and say, well, you've always been a little different. That doesn't mean that a person is on a spectrum. I don't have Asperger's. I'm not, what's the word? I'm not on the spectrum in that way. It's nothing that I was born with, at least not that I know of. I know that my mind collects information differently. I've found some alternate scientific ways to describe the differences between people, how we're made, and a lot of that is based on different practices that's not common, not widely accepted in the psychological and medical arenas. So for the sake of not having to explain a lot of things that you just won't grasp unless you study it, I know how I think. And if I could explain it, some people can fix on one point, and they only see that one point, fixed thinkers. These might appear in the communication style as a driver. If you've taken any business classes, that's the person who needs the data, that's it, be done. That's not me, and if you know me, you know that's not me. I have the ability to see both ends of an issue at the same time, and then I have to pick and choose, and sometimes can get lost in what I need to see. That I know I've been doing since a kid, because I asked a lot of questions, after question after question. I think I annoyed my mom to the nth degree, but she would answer them. And somewhere around 10, she sat me down and she asked me, "Do you know how you learn?" And I thought, at school? And she sat down and helped me understand that I need to grab the information and I need to seek out the information, which is one of the reasons why I think I don't have a problem doing research. But with purpose, I can get a lot done. I've had jobs. I've worked for a billionaire. I've worked for worked in environments that require you to be able to handle 7 or more processes. And at my younger age, it's not a problem. Smart as a whip, could figure out anything. All you had to do was give me the instructions. Thank you, Microsoft. You used to put a lot more information, and you still do, tutorials. You are the reason why I had a job in my 20s. Thank you. And yeah, I did take some classes, clerk typing classes. I know about Windows 3.1. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you? A lot of you don't. So nonetheless, self-made in a sense, because when I got kicked out of high school, and just go back to my previous post, I didn't actually get technically kicked out. I just was not allowed to re-enroll after I had my first child. It would have been my junior year. For someone who tested pretty high in my younger years, expecting to go to some of Chicago's better magnet schools on a wait list, if my life hadn't shifted then, because of things my mother was going through and finding ourselves living with relatives. And, I love those times because it's my youth. I love the things that I got to do with my cousins, because that really was my 14th year. It was the year that I met Rashid, that everybody just thought, Common was the bomb. They referred to him as Rashid at the time. And he was known more so as mixing and dancing, and he could rap. But I ran into him with my cousins one day, and they were just like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I'm just like, who is this dude? I didn't live around there, so I didn't know. Felt his energy, super strong. Anyway, so those were times that I hold on to, right? So as I became more stressed because of what was going on in my life, having been divorced, family life was not excellent, just a lot of trauma. I was suicidal for a minute, and to understand what the body is going through, what the systems of the body is going through, how that's impacting the body, you probably have to do some research. But if you've been through some severe trauma, and I can only imagine anyone who's had their life altered in a way that they cannot recoup and get back that life that they lost, and then moving forward has to be with not just effort but faith, hard work. That's for anybody, right? Add on top of that the stress to the body and how the body can regulate or fail to regulate those things. It can only take so much under certain circumstances. So if you're adding the best diet, exercise, fresh air, less stress, less financial woes, like, I can tell you the years of being young, I just used to think, well, this is just a part of growing up in this country. You're supposed to struggle. No, you're not. Like, people struggle. No, that's not everybody's living that reality. And some of us know that. These are not complaints or excuses. I will not use facts to justify things that I didn't do. I could always blame myself and say I could have did this. That's hindsight. Look, I lived life the best I knew how at the time, and honestly, I'm blessed because I've been able to live a life that someone with my background normally wouldn't have gotten a chance to. And I think the reason, and I used to be so thankful, my mother taught me how to speak the way I do. And everything else I learned from the neighborhoods and the people and the family. Any slang I had to earn that. I once had a cousin tell me that my Black Pass was going to get revoked. my ghetto pass. And I'm like, being black and being ghetto are two, it's not the same. You know, as a cousin of mine pointed out, they're not ghetto, they're hood. And to her, I thank her for that differentiation. Being from an urban area gives you certain experience you're not going to give living out in a country or in the suburbs. It just doesn't. I know how to be anywhere and be on my Q's and P's. I know how to get out of a situation because I peeped it before it had a chance to come up. If you know what I'm talking about, you see a bunch of people on the front porch and you're walking down the street at a certain time of night, you know to cut down the street in between some buildings, turn the heck around, or maybe not because they might have already seen you, but be swift, be on your Q's and P's. Don't open yourself up for opportunity to get jacks. Don't be a mark. Okay, these are things cousins told me at a young age. It's by the grace of the Most High that I didn't have something happen to me. And I always learned to look people in the eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, you urban, you're urban. And I don't have a problem going anywhere because I've been on my own since I was 14 and a half. When I got pregnant, I wanted to move in with my boyfriend. Later we got married. And being young and going through and learning some hard life lessons made me stronger, in a sense, wiser, because not because things happened in my life that made me wiser, but because I sought the information. My mind is always, how can I make this work? No, this is not it. This is not going to be how things go down in my life. Blah, blah, blah. I can't control life. And guess what? Life has a way of showing up. And you still have to be truthful and honest with yourself so you can show up in your life. I hope you can hear me because it's starting to get windy out here, so I'm going to check this video. Hopefully you can. I have my headphones on right there, so we'll see. I'm saying all this to say that as I'm older and my body is getting a little bit more worn, I thought I'm just aging. No, because I know younger people going through some similar stuff, and the things that I've uncovered in my research, you know, first starting off looking at videos, and then in school, I kept sticking on the subject of irritable bowel disorders because I really can't eat everything. I'm vegan for several reasons. I wanted to minimize the inflammation in my body. So like certain things I just can't do, like a lot. But that's not gonna bring balance just by cutting off the faucet. I have to also fill it up with good things. So that's why, you know, I post about food on my other platforms, and I really want to organize things in a way where people get it. So just follow me for a second and understand, if you're on your transformation and you want to give your body and your mind some syncopation, word we don't use that much anymore, synergy. I used to hate that word. That was a way to say we're going to downsize a whole group of people after a merger. But if we want to bring in balance, mind, body, and soul, it's going to take some work to reset your nervous system. It's going to take doing things that bring you pleasure, that bring you peace, and having a discipline and a regimen of meditation. You can literally physically calm the nerves through breathing. And even more importantly, you can improve the functionality of your lungs, smoker. Getting outside and breathing some fresh air and quitting smoking. And I speak as a former smoker and someone who occasionally smokes cigarettes. Yes, I said that. I'm working on it. And it's not something I've always done. But it's something I'm letting go. Because I really, really want this body to be all that it can be, so I can live life with the force that I have been given. So I'm here for you, community. Letting things go first started for me, toxins. Not that these things are functionally toxins on its own, but based on your specific needs and how you're dealing with stress, it is better to let caffeine, raw sugar, fake sugar, those alternative sweeteners, soda, anything a doctor's telling you shouldn't have, there's a reason. I can't even imagine what it's like for a doctor who might have a desire to understand why he sees the systems. But, unfortunately, we're told, oh, it's genetic. Try looking that up. Try looking at research papers, not just in this country, but outside of this country, and you will find that it's not your DNA that they're always talking about. And you might have heard me say this in another post. It's how the genomes perform to stabilize when the body is exposed to a condition that can cause chronic problems. It can fail to renew your cells. There's several ways to revitalize the cells. And unfortunately, there's a point where certain things kind of die. At least that's what we're told. There's only one thing better than the science we have today. Better science. Better research. If you look at the goal of research, if something's not empirically proven, meaning you have proof, you've answered the question without question. So it was so windy outside, I decided to sit in my car. I've come back from the park. So let me wrap this up, because I went back and watched the video, and you've probably seen that I have this train that's hard to follow sometimes. I will kind of veer in and out of subjects because that's just how my thoughts go. And I'm going to be kind to myself and work with that. I'm beautiful just as I am, but I want to also be easy to follow. So just stick with me. If you're someone who sees yourself in my story or has had some similar responses to life, you're not alone. The body really does process as much as it can. Our brain is that operating system that can get overworked, and our body follows suit because the brain tells the body what to do. And if I can say this to anyone who is a nutritionist, dietitian, researcher, nutrition researcher, you're into biology, you are doing a lot in the field of helping humans in some way. I feel that the most humane response to what's happening in our country with nutrition, mental health, and being able to live a long life, having longevity, it has a lot to do with how we learn from this point. I think there's enough information out in the world, and now we have AI to crunch numbers. But if we never get to the research, I've read reasons why certain well-known, world-class organizations in the United States don't continue research is because it's just too much information. What? That's another way of saying it would cost too much money, and it's almost impossible. No, it would just cost a lot of money. It's possible. I have this theory. I think we should change the way we do research. But see, why put all this money to research when you can just make a lot of money giving people pills? It's an ethical, sound response to give someone a regimen that is somewhat affordable. And you go to a doctor, you don't have the knowledge, the understanding, you're looking for answers. Living a balanced life and feeding the body what it needs to live is, to me, the most humane response. It's the most moral response as well. I think everyone should be allowed to live the best life possible. That the opportunity should not rest in the hands of how much money you have. Food grows literally from the earth. Animals reproduce on their own, but we have industries to provide food to the masses. Not me, because I don't own a farm, nor am I a meat producer or fisher. I mean, organizations within this country. The culture that comes out of being an American, somewhere in our past, here I go with the we word again. I said I was going to stop saying we. Somewhere in the past, industry came out of boxing food and making it readily available. They're introduced processes, and those processes don't leave you with the best possible product to consume. And you're almost never, if you're getting boxes and cans and it's frozen, you're almost never getting the amount of nutrients you need. You can spend your entire life being malnutritioned, and guess what's going to fall apart first? When I did research for some of the classes I had, and I stayed on the subject of irritable bowel disorders, I found research in this country and outside of this country that suggests that a lot of the side effects that we're seeing with people who have irritable bowel disorders are anxiety and depression. Bipolarism, if you can even find the research now in America. Food and Drug Administration, we'll go down I have to see what's out there. I haven't been doing research since I've been in class, and we've had a change in the administration, and some of those resources are not readily available anymore. But if you had at your fingertips, or you have at your fingertips information that tells you what the numbers look like when certain things start to blossom and bloom, it's a combination of things that happen in this country, supposedly for our benefit. Now, I'm not going to speak against vaccinations or pharmacological, or as we say, drugs as a resource to improve health, because people are on medications. But I believe when you get to a point where the medication is causing another issue, and you have another way of doing this, or could have another way of doing, improving health, if you would only invest money, well, where's this money going to come from? It's not going to come from the drug companies. It's not going to come from the medical industry. I'm praying it comes from the institutes who teach the higher learning, the tertiary schools, the top 12, or whatever you want to call yourselves, the scholarly organizations of thinkers that have access, or maybe the private funders who believe that we can do better. If every child had the opportunity to be secure, to receive what they need to revitalize and renew cells, to feed the body according to its systems and what nutrients it needs from birth, how much smarter and how much stronger of a nation would we be? I'm going to leave it there. I don't believe in categorizing and chopping people up to justify who should have what. I think that's sick. And I'm not trying to be judgmental. I don't think we need to be worried about which race, which is a man-made concept, needs to survive. We're all stronger, better together. We're all better together. If you look at the contributions that all groups that exist in this country right now have brought, whether they've been here for hundreds of years or got here last week, the whole of humanity, no matter where you are on this earth, is better when we're at our best. And I believe even in a spiritual sense and in so many different ways, the cycle of man that we're in now, because don't think that we haven't been in some similar place that we're in now before, like that's never happened. Technology is not new. Just the type of technology we have is more abundant and more accessible. This knowledge about eating and finding balance is definitely not new. I am literally pulling from ancient practices that some cultures hold on to more than others. And the culture of America is right now looking like eat what you want, eat according to what you can afford, take in external stimulants, party till you die, leave your kids nothing, work hard your entire life, and be locked out of opportunity unless you're the top whatever percent. I don't even know what that looks like anymore. That can't be American culture. And now it's a global economy and a global community, and there's shifts and changes, and that's always going to happen. But at what point do the people who have access to the information and want the rest of the world to have get a chance to share it? I want to be a part of that move. So if there are people who are willing to do some form of a research project, because when I look at the research, you can't come up with empirical truth if you can't control the experiment. Get a group of people who represent the largest numbers in this country of the most common chronic issues and house them and give one set of people the best possible resolutions that we have today that are ethically sound, and feed them what the American diet says it's supposed to be. If we believe that everything we're doing today is fine, that can't be unethical. Get another group of people and feed them according to their systems, what their bodies need, and give them the best possible situation. Some people might say that's not realistic because when they get out of there, they're going to go back to their regular lives. If they're broke, if they're, if some have more than others, we just can't equalize. This is not for the purposes of giving people something that they can't afford when they leave. This is the purposes of providing information that we can grow towards to continuously improve. The reason why you would put funding someplace, the reason why you need to intervene at certain points, why it's ethical to do one thing over the other, change the way we think globally. I'm down. I will volunteer. I'm willing to learn. Someone would have to fund me, but I just spend the rest of my life learning and sharing, and I will continue in this space. I'm gonna keep throwing that out there. I know there's some bazillionaires somewhere who go, yeah, I got a couple $1 million to throw away while they're gaming. My email's in my description. Follow me on Instagram. CISSE4Love, CISSE, the number 4 love. DM me. I'm real. We can change. I'm going to continue to change, and with everything that's in me. And here's the other thing, which I hope really turns some people's brains on. What happens when more minds are healthy? What happens to the collective when more people are putting in more powerful things? What do we look like? I could go on, but I'm going to pause there. Peace, love, bye.